much. Welcome back. This is SJU. It's a Monday, I'm reliably told. We're going to talk a little bit about Netflix. They have revealed their top 10 movies, and they don't reveal anything. So we'll see if they're real. We're going to break all of those down for you. Plus, Old Guard, which is really good, is breaking records, and we've got new Russo Brother movie news. Thank you so much. I have got with me a Spencer Gilbert.
Hey, Danielle. Same great taste, slightly different background. Good to be here.
I have got with me a Joe Starr.
I have not left this corner in 14 years, Danielle.
We never do. I've got a Sarah who is with Joe Starr. And then somewhere behind me, if you hear the pattering of aggro feet, I am fostering a cat who has discovered that he doesn't like when I talk to other people. And usually he is in the bedroom hiding, but today
better not be talking to other people, Danielle.
He doesn't like it. He discovered that the laptop is when I'm not talking to him, and he don't like it very much. But that is okay because we are going to keep talking about these movies, and I'm going to stop looking at the cat. It is all in support. This is real. This is all in support of Direct Relief and Black Lives Matter. The link to support all of these are in the description down below. Okay, so segment number one, this like literally never happens because most of these streaming services do not release their data, but Netflix has released their top 10, and this is via Netflix internal data and an article from Bloomberg. So Netflix only recently began to release hand-picked data, shade, often disclosed in quarterly financial results, and this is the first time Netflix has released a list of its 10 most popular original movies. So this is the list. These are the things that have millions of viewers. So we have Extraction, Bird Box, which we all know. Everyone talked about that for 2 days. Spencer Confidential. Hey, Spenny, you did it.
Hey.
Six Underground, which is also my favorite song from the 90s, early
Sneaker
2000s. Sneaker Pimps. Murder Mystery. And then at some point, The Old Guard and some other things that you guys might have seen. So all four of the most watched films are action movies or thrillers with obviously like big stars. They've got them, Chris Hemsworth, a Sandra Bullock, a Mark Wahlberg, and a Ryan Reynolds. There were a couple of comedies that made the list, Murder Mystery, and then there was an adult drama, which was obviously The Irishman, which also was in theaters. And so, as we know, and we have famously made fun of, Netflix counts anyone who watches 2 minutes of the movie as a viewer. So if you've ever been kind of just like scrolling through on a date and said, hey, what about this Irishman? And then you watch the very beginning where all the credits are, and your date is like, I can't make out to this, they are old. And then you switch off of it, that still counts you as a viewer. But Scott Stuber, the head of Netflix's film division, says, we want an impactful movie every 2 weeks. That is their goal. For one person, that's Extraction. For another, it is The Wrong Missy. So I guess my first question is, guys, Extraction, Wrong Missy. Which is it for you? Spenny.
Oh, double feature. I think either order, you're getting yourself an evening. I haven't watched more than 2 minutes of either of these movies. I started them and did not complete them, so I guess that counts as a view. But still,
you have seen these movies technically then.
Yeah. Technically, I've seen them according to Netflix. That's still a huge amount of people to even click on something. You know, almost 100 million views. I don't really have it in my head of how many tickets the biggest movies sell, but it can't be much more than 100 million tickets. I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, and that's right. What they want to make, but these are clearly like things that have broken through, and you can see on Twitter that they're like part of a conversation. Like you said, there's 2 days when everybody talks about Bird Box. There's a slightly longer period of time when people talk about The Irishman. Like they're being seen. They're not completely lying about these movies being popular.
Yeah, obviously for one thing, they're changing the theatrical experience because they've taken. Well, they haven't stolen it. Like, movie theaters ground the mid-budget movie into the dust and replaced it with the Avengers. And Netflix has given them a nice home to live and run and be free. You know, Bird Box would have done terribly in the theaters just because everyone would have looked at it and been like, this isn't Batman, and moved on. Obviously,
same thing with Extraction. That would have been Black Hat all over again.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, there are.
And by that, I mean a great movie that people didn't see.
Like there are exceptions, like the horror movies pop every now and then. Get Out, obviously, the Conjuring movies do well. So there are exceptions, but the rule now really is, Netflix has really gone out of their way to go, no, this isn't like straight to DVD stuff. This is like good theatrical level stuff that studios just wouldn't release in a theater anymore because it doesn't have like the Star Wars theme on it.
Right, and this was already something that was happening pre-COVID, but obviously post-COVID, it is way more important to get in that kind of viral content that everyone sees. One question I have, and I did do some looking, I couldn't find whether that's true. You know how when you go onto Netflix and they tell you, hey, this is a movie we recommend for you, and then it's just on the thing and it just starts playing the first 2 minutes. Joe Starr, if they did count that, would you think that counts?
I don't think that it counts because I hate the autoplay and I stop it very quickly. The only time an autoplay really lasts for me is if we have to take maybe 30 additional seconds to find the remote. It has fallen under a throw pillow. So I don't think they get that view out of me. Where they do get a view out of me, though, is look at all this cool war stuff. Look at this list. Triple Frontier, that's a cool war thing. There's a lot of cool war stuff on here that would have been right up my alley back in the day, like war and action. You got your Ryan Reynolds in here with your Six Undergrounds.
The interesting thing to me is going back to that list that you're pointing out, Joe, is the Irishman. That's like one of these things is not like the others for me, because that was like a $200 million movie to make, wasn't it? Legendarily expensive, and like it's not just like, oh, we got an Avenger to show up. It's like we have legends in front of and behind the camera, and
we also have to de-age them.
Yeah, we have to de-age. I know it made their top 10, but did they learn from that? I don't think they won. How many Oscars did they win? Any?
Well, I wonder if there's a difference between maybe it's 64 million people watched it, but it's also long as hell, and so they got the watch time out of it.
Well,
this isn't YouTube, Joe.
I mean,
and aside from that, to be fair, a lot of these, obviously your Bird Boxes, that happened in a bubble it was Christmas break. Remember Christmas, you guys, when you went home and you saw your family. That was during Christmas break, so obviously that got a big bump. The Irishman got a bump, and it was obviously a huge, they were pushing it really hard for, the awards season. So most of these movies are reflecting, and we have to acknowledge this, they're reflecting a pre-COVID time. And yeah, we know that like theaters were already like, we're not going to do your very understated 30-year-old movie or the movie that passes through 30 years of what happened in the mob, big man stomp things, blah, blah, blah. But what kind of movies do you think we're going to continue to get? Because the Old Guard was a huge, like for me, I saw it everywhere on Netflix over the last week or so. It was very, very big. Do you think that with COVID coming up, they, aside from doing these mid-budget things that are safer for them, do you think they're going to start to take chances on things that might involve bigger budgets and larger budgets because they know that we're all at home?
Well, you said that this was like a pre-COVID list, but I don't see COVID hurting. I see it helping movies like this, where you can just kind of scrap together a movie star and a mid-budget action premise. I think Old Guard fits right in there. I mean, that's like, oh, that's a face I recognize. Oh, they're hitting stuff with a sword. All right, throw it on there. I see getting more and more of the same as they figure out what works, which seems to be movie star plus action thriller or oh God, what's the Happy Madison style comedy? Like that seems to be the formula.
All right, well, Spenny, building up on this, tell me your new Netflix hit. Movie star plus action premise.
Oh yeah, okay. Get one of the Chris's. Let's get Chris Evans. I don't think he's done. Chris Pine's done a Netflix movie. Chris Hemsworth's done one. Let's get Chris Evans. He is he's a test pilot And he's he has a rival that is flying a airborne casino around, and he needs to dock with this casino and rob it, and then escape with the money inside that plane.
And we will call it docking. Joe Starr,
Yes.
If you could action or give me a big movie star that Netflix at this point can afford. They can afford anyone, plus an action movie premise.
It's the year is 2045 and an apocalypse thing has happened. John Boyega plays a Creole man with a dark past in post-apocalypse Louisiana that has to get a small, charming girl through the swamps, across state lines, to the safety of, I don't know, Haven Town.
What are the monsters?
Yeah, give me the monsters.
Or whatever's out there. What do they got to fight?
There's a great sequence. Oh, I mean, now I actually want to see this movie. There's a great fan boat fight sequence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Between the local warlords and John Boyega trying to escape on a fan boat. They run afoul of some crocodiles. There's a great. It actually starts on a riverboat, on a riverboat casino, Spencer, because I know you're in. Yeah, it's all in all just a great movie. There's some cool French Quarter stuff, and but the French Quarter's bad and post-apocalyptic also.
Right, it's all rolling on the river, and that's what we'll call it. And Beyonce.
No, that's what it's called. It's called
Rolling on the River. It's
river.
an all Zydeco soundtrack.
Yes, all Zydeco soundtrack, please. Thank you. Yeah.
Mine would just be O'Shea Jackson, the son of Ice Cube, and John David Washington, the son of Denzel Washington.
Ooh.
And it's just called Forgotten Sons.
They have to save their dads because they could afford the dads too.
They need to save their dads.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually like that one.
It's all
That's
dads
a really
all the
good
time.
idea.
It's all dads all the way down.
You gotta save them dads.
Gotta save them dads. So as far as, again,
Daddy
what we're
rescue.
Instead of daddy daycare, we're doing a daddy rescue. So again, we mentioned the most watched films or action movies or thriller with like Chris Hemsworth, Sandra Bullock, Mark Wahlberg, Ryan Reynolds, and very famously, obviously, Sandra Bullock, Mark Wahlberg, like these were movies that did make an impact. For a new, I want to get into like what kind of movies Netflix can do, because we can talk numbers all day long, but that's not. Name a new movie that Sandra Bullock can do where she saves a black child.
The Blind Side 2. This time it's personal.
Why has she done 2 blind-themed films about saving black people?
I'm surprised actually at this list that the rom-com or like the teen high school thing like only has one representative with the perfect date, and like I know Gen Z is gonna get mad, but I don't even know what that one is. I'm so old. I only liked All the Boys I've Kissed Before or whatever. I didn't know they made another one. Or isn't that the same? Aren't they all the same, like 4 actors that they keep recycling in these?
This is Noah Centineo, who the kids just adore.
Yeah.
They just
I'm wondering if they're hitting really hard with TV, with that genre, with like Sex Education and Never Have I Ever, and I think there's like 4 other ones that are supposedly really, really big. So I wonder if those are like their heavy hitters, so they focus on TV with that genre.
I think so. So we are going to do the thing we do, where we thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today and every day. Please subscribe to our channel. You can hang out every weekday. You can hit that like, you can hit that bell, you can hang out with us. This is the last day that you can hang out with my cat, who is having the zoomies and isn't my cat. I have to give him to his forever mommy tomorrow. Maybe that's why he's nope. He doesn't care about me at all. He just likes strings. So there, nope. He is not Sarah. He does not care about movies. Hey, if you guys missed the Hey Fandoms, you can check them out on fandom.com/video. I know a lot of you have been asking where they go when we're done doing them, because obviously we're all very busy people and you haven't been able to catch them. They all live. You can find them on fandom.com/video and you can go check them out. We also usually do articles where we pull out some of the highlights and best ofs. So go check that out on fandom.com. Next, via Netflix's Twitter, can you teach an old guard new tricks? According to Netflix, the Old Guard is breaking records. It's already among the top 10 most popular Netflix films ever. And Gina Prince Bythewood is the first Black female director on this list. She has directed a lot of stuff. This is one of her first big sci-fi action movies, but she has been a veteran director. You can find her in a lot of things. And the film is right now currently on track to reach, and this is a great number, 72 million households in its first 4 weeks. This film, obviously, you guys already know about this. It stars Charlize Theron, an ensemble cast as immortal warriors who have protected humanity throughout history. It is based on a comic book done by Greg Rucka. He also adapted the screenplay. And so Theron teased sequel plans when she did an appearance on Seth Meyers' talk show. If you watched it, you know that there is a second book, so you know there probably will be a sequel. So this is actually doing better than The Irishman, which is a big deal because it's not only a movie that did great numbers, it was also a movie that was very acclaimed. It was critically acclaimed. And so this is actually doing better numbers, like just far ahead. And
cost about a third as much as The Irishman too, Danielle. Only a $70 million budget versus The Irishman's huge CGI de-aging budget.
You don't have to de-age Charlize ever. So
no, time has done that for her. She just works out, and then that does that. She doesn't have, you don't cast her when she's 70 and make her play 30, which I think is the real goal. So,
although I'm going to throw it out there, I think you'll be able to.
Yeah, I think you will. Same for Chiwetel. So the top 10 counts viewership for the first 4 weeks. Old Guard has 2 weeks to officially make the top 10. Is that a surprise to you all that one is a big one, considering, like, you know, Irishman was up for awards, it was a big thing, and then the Old Guard is kind of I felt like it got a little bit buried until everyone started talking about it on Twitter. Joe?
I think the only thing that surprises me is that there's no rhyme or reason yet on what's going to pop on Netflix, which really fascinates me. Yeah, because I think when this dropped, it was kind of like, oh, this looks fine, but there's no telling what everyone's just going to sort of seize upon. You know, as a group of people who are constantly having to figure out what folks want to talk about, Netflix is a really interesting, you know, thing to tackle, because it's like, is Dark suddenly going to pop off? Do we suddenly need to pivot and do the honest trailer of the Old Guard? Because one, who knows if it's going to get huge or not, or people are just going to talk about it for a day and move on. Two, how long are they going to talk about it? You know, we talked about Bird Box, like you said, for like a week. Stranger Things was huge, you know. So I think just figuring out the rhyme and reason of these popularity windows with Netflix is just really, really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen more than 2 minutes, so that's a view of the Old Guard.
That is a view.
Have either of you watched the whole thing?
I did. I watched the whole thing. Is it good?
Thing.
Yeah, no, the Old Guard is actually really, really good. It is very, while it is it's one of those stories where it's like, obviously it's got superhero themes, like it's based on a comic book. There are those things. It does, as all good superhero movies do, they dive into myth. It's about more than just like two people beating each other up. It really gets into morality and where that goes and where that starts and stops. So it's very, very smart. And again, I think it's very interesting because you can now make that kind of movie. You don't have to do, you know, the thing where you have two poor people pretending to lift a helicopter while looking like they're pooping. You don't have to do that for 4 minutes. You can do something much smaller and still have it have the same impact. And Netflix seems primed to be able to not only do that thing, but also obviously do it well, because it was something that did wind up resonating with people. Spencer, I am interested to hear, because this is one of those things where it's like it could very easily have been just another comic book movie. Do you think that because of where Netflix sits as far as distribution and where it is in the market, do you think it's able to do things like where it can be multiple genres at once? Do you think it's more likely to be able to succeed in that realm than something that's just like Hulk smash hit dude?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're doing something right, but my I don't know, I'm a little like concerned because they are all about algorithmically predicting what you want to watch, and they've talked about how that also guides them in what they want to make. So I feel like all movies are just going to become this kind of like grayish mix of genres, but it's like all this. It's like listening to a Pandora station where it's like, I moderately like this. Right. It's just like,
no, I think that's a great idea.
Just good enough to keep you watching, to keep the most number of people watching.
I'm going to start this. I'm going to be brave. But what I would like both of you to do is go into your browser history and tell me what Netflix movie would be based on what you've been watching.
I use the company one. I'm not paying for that shit.
No, not Netflix. I mean like your YouTube. I mean like your browser history, and you don't have to tell us everything.
How's that work? Tell it what browser history would. What movie?
Well, if you were scrolling through and you were like an algorithm, what are the things that you've been looking at in your browser history that Netflix would make a movie out of? Mine would definitely be about a Hotep cult that forcibly makes beauty commenters put on makeup, and also makes mukbangers eat fire noodles, while also being about dramedy shows where people kiss, but set to modern tunes, like Ed Sheeran. That would be the movie that Netflix would make specifically for me. If they wanted to do another alternate one, this doesn't get any better. It would be about how you could keep your cat inside and loving you. And make it so it doesn't try to leave your apartment, while also finding a way to eat fire noodles, Korean corn dog cheese challenge, rice cakes, chubby bunny, rice.
Mine is mostly just Slack, but then I also do see just this start. At one point, I looked at a tweet from the very funny and amazing by his albums, Dan Telfer, and the beginning of the tweet is just shout out to all the road comedians in Southern Indiana who compulsively, and then that's it. So some form of it's some kind of weird movie about Southern Indiana road comedians, and I guess it's told via Slack. The first Slack movie, you guys. We did it.
Well, I think we could write that, Joe, because you're from Louisville. I've lived in Indianapolis. I think that is the movie. We're both stand-up comics. I think.
We can do this.
We have to write. I think we have to do it.
We have a picture. I think the algorithm would make me a movie about a guy looking for more comfortable shorts, more lounge shorts. Spend a good time looking for that, and then he's interested in where to stream the movie Sideways. So it's a guy who's looking for cozy shorts, and he's trying to find Sideways because like it seems to be on Hulu, but you need the add-on. So where else can you get it?
That is the most just essence of Spencer.
Right.
Comfy shorts and a good Pinot.
Comfy shorts. I watched Sideways.
I ended up watching it. Not as good as you remember. If you have fond memories of Sideways, I'm sorry.
What a bummer. Oh, we've got a couple from the chat here. At Sammy says, my browser history is pretty much Fandom, SJU, Dan's channel. Hey, Dan.
There you go.
And the Wiggles for my son. I'm not sure what that would be.
Wiggles as this. The Wiggles do this.
We put the Wiggles in our tags, so that makes sense. I think that all checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be...
Do the propeller. Do the propeller. Yeah, I got all the Wiggle stuff up here.
What would the Wiggle song about Jaws be? You think of that while I look at the next one.
It's probably Baby Shark.
Yeah, probably just Baby Shark.
At Francisco Melendez says, Spencer just hit the nail on the head. I find most Netflix movies are so bland, with the exceptions like Roma, The Half of It, and The Irishman. They tend to just blend together for me. Francisco, not at all impressed with that stuff. But maybe Francisco will be impressed by this with segment number 2. There is a new Russo Brothers thing happening. And the new Russo Brothers is the largest Netflix budget yet. This is via Deadline. Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, who are two people you've definitely heard of, are set to star in The Gray Man with HBO's Joe and Anthony Russo directing their first blockbuster since setting the all-time global box office record with Avengers Endgame 2 years ago, which also, as we know, had the gayest moment in movie history ever. The intention here...
Exclusively so.
It was so exclusive. You've never seen a gayer moment that you heard about for 2 seconds. The intention here is to create a new franchise with a James Bond level of scale and a budget upwards of $200 million. The script was written by Joe Russo with a polish by Marcus and McFeely, who, as you know, they did Winter Soldier and they've done a million other things. It is based on the 2009 Mark Greeley novel that introduced the Gray Man, a freelance assassin and former CIA operative named Court Gentry. Oh, come on. Sorry. Come.
I love me some Jack Reacher names, man.
Court Gentry, but Jack Reacher's like a fantasy badass name. Court Gentry's like a Harvard guy with hemophilia, like Court Gentry.
He does sound like he's going to be the head writer of SNL.
Yeah. He sounds like someone who's like a 30-year-old man, a 30-year-old man trying to take a 13-year-old girl to her debutante ball. Like, hey, my name, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Court Gentry. I'm here to pick up Olivia for her first time at the dance.
Court Gentry is the name of John Boyega's character in my post-apocalypse.
Oh no!
Court Gentry is the name of the guy that looks like that Mark Zuckerberg photo that came out with him with the sunscreen. That's Court Gentry.
That's Court Gentry. Okay, so this is I can't take this seriously anymore. I can't. The movie is a real mano a mano between these two great actors.
Wait. I'm sorry. You skipped Evan's name.
I've tried.
Court Gentry versus
is a deadly duel between killers, as Gentry, played by Gosling, is hunted across the globe by Lloyd Hansen.
Lord?
Lloyd. Well, which basically Lloyd Hansen.
Lloyd. Why Lloyd?
A former cohort of Gentry's at the CIA.
Let's skip to the
again,
part.
this book was written in 2009. This isn't like an old.
Not that long. Well, no, and we have long had like at Honest Trailers we have talked about how 2009 might as well be like 1979. The way that things have changed in between now and then. But good lord.
I think the algorithm's broken. It's just spitting out weird Anglo names.
They went to a fantasynamegenerator.com and went to the section that was just like weird dad names.
No, they turned the FOP dial all the way to 11. We need a more foppish name.
They will both fight Ed Goodcouch. Like, what are you talking about?
Ed Goodcouch. All of these people are part of
Goodcouch. It's me, Lloyd Hansen.
That's
and me, Court Gentry.
They're either
Shall we do?
Or the names of the eldest sons from everyone at the Wisconsin Republican Convention. Oh, Lloyd Goodcouch. What I will say is, I think they're being goofy ass names aside, which they should not lead with. The big thing they're leading with is they're like, hey, did you guys like Winter Soldier? This is us doing Winter Soldier without Captain America, which I think is a great way to sell this thing, because the answer to did you like Winter Soldier is yes, very much, and I would like to see more of it.
And they stressed it by saying it is moving into a real world setting where it is again a mano a mano between two great actors who represent two different versions of the CIA, what it can be and what it can do. Huh?
One is a royalist, the other is a Cromwell supporter.
And none of them gets the good chair.
We know where you fall, good couch.
Joe Russo said, only one of them gets the big piece of chicken. The intention isn't for it to be competitive with any theatrical release, and the ability to do that with Gosling and Evans is a dream to us. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that you had the chance to watch any movie on the big screen, or you had a chance to watch Court Gentry and Lloyd Hansen fight it out in theaters. Let's say we'll just pick a couple of movies. We'll say you had to pick between Fighting with My Family and The Gray Man. Joe, which are you picking?
I mean, the Gray Man. I think we're a little caught up in the court of it all. Like the Endgame team is reuniting and doing a really expensive spy movie on Netflix. We're all gonna watch the shit out of it. Whether the guy's name is Court Goodcouch or Ren Wrenchworth or what. Like, we're all going to watch this movie. No one can go outside ever again. And this movie is going to be what helps us for, about 2 weeks before we move on to Bird Box 2. But this is going to be huge.
Spenny, so the Russos have previously, they've done movies where or at least, they've worked on movies with other people that they've worked with in the Marvel Universe.
Didn't they do like 27 bridges? Or is that 27 dresses? They did 18 bridges?
27 dresses is a movie, I think, with Jennifer Garner. But yes, it was 27 dresses, and you are absolutely correct. Do you... and a lot of people, since we started doing these streaming wars, a lot of people have been getting these huge deals to work with different companies. Weirdly, as much as we made fun of the streaming wars, do you think we're going to really start getting more of these companies taking the money that they were putting into these big deals that they were giving to people that are maybe kind of falling through or maybe they're discovering aren't necessarily a good fit, and just putting them into things that normally would have been in theaters, like something like this?
God, I mean, I don't know. I think Netflix is in its own situation. Obviously, I don't think like Paramount or something is going to start making movies with the intent to just put them directly to streaming. Like, they're going to ride this out, hope it doesn't last longer than 6 months to a year to 2 years longer, and just like hope people want to go back to the theaters again. Netflix, for me, this makes no sense to me why they would spend $200 million on Spy versus Spy. Like, the big swing they take, like, is for Oscar movies, like for the Irishman and stuff like that. Like, I don't get what the $20 million version of this movie gets you that the $80 million version doesn't, because it's just like they say it's the real world. Is it just movies because we have two movie stars instead of one? Is that the innovation they're making here?
Honestly, I think what it gets you and I don't mean it to sound cynical at all, is that if this was just, what's it called again? It's called Gray Man. If you just saw a thing called The Gray Man, you might pass it like I haven't seen Six Underground yet. Like, I kind of look at it every now and then and I'm like, I've seen Hitman's Bodyguard. I'm good. And I move on. But when they have a piece of key art that's just like the guys that made Endgame do another Winter Soldier, which is, I'm assuming, the text, if they're smart, that they will put on the thumbnail.
And it's the Russos in the thumbnail.
It's Russos in the thumbnail with like a little two-headed thing that's Ryan Gosling and the Chris that's in it.
Evans.
I think that's your money. I honestly think that they are. I mean, it's a hell of a user acquisition cost. It's like, we're gonna break all the records. We're gonna get 150 million households, but I don't know how much that breaks down cost per household to get them to watch it. But I mean, that's what they're going for.
Absolutely. And so you guys are saying, like, you don't necessarily think that other things are going to or make these big of a swings. But again, we've seen so many of these acquisitions. Do you think it is more worth it for them to put the money that they would say? Again, some people are getting like 999. I can't stress that enough. 9-digit deals to do a bunch of different projects. If you're Netflix or Sony or Paramount or any of these big things? Is it more worth it for you to invest in creators to have them oversee a bunch of things, or to put all of that money into something
like
really
one
big
movie?
like this? Yeah.
You know, the only two examples that can really come to mind for me right now is this, which I'm assuming is going to be massive, and then the Ryan Murphy deal, which was huge, and I have not seen any reason why they would renew the Ryan Murphy deal yet. So
You didn't like Hollywood? It's not a good show. It's fine.
No. There's a much more complicated answer to that for me. It's another video that's very problematic for me to make. But I think I think that the save for a deal like that with Murphy is like, what's Ryan Murphy's mid-level John McTiernan action movie look like? If that's the stuff that's landing, I think Ryan Murphy needs to make a Predator movie or something. I don't know.
Well, because if you look at like the Lord and Miller deal that they did for Sony Television, that was like what, like $900 million all total. And again, this was like in prime streaming wars. Do you think, as weird as this sounds, do you think the streaming war is going to continue to be an actual war now that we can't leave the house, or is it just what it's going to be now? Like, are we seeing kind of a stalemate in the streaming wars and not so many of these big acquisitions of talent?
I mean, I don't think all the talent got swooped up. I don't think we've seen too many of them bear fruit, or at least they're just starting to roll out with their first projects for these things. And then, Netflix, I think, can afford literally and figuratively to do like one giant blockbuster a few times a year, whereas and so can Disney Plus. I think they're also in the position where they can afford that, but maybe they're a service that needs to spread it out a little more thinly and try to get more content and more shows rather than just betting it all on the next season of The Mandalorian.
All right, so we have got some people coming in with some comments.
Yeah, we have some comments. I do want you guys to touch on, I think what's kind of crazy about this that's big is like now they're just shooting their shot of saying this is a franchise. It's a Ryan Gosling franchise. We're starting a new James Bond, and they're coming in with the marketing as that. Do you think we're going to see more of that with these streaming services, where it's not just like throw a movie on the dartboard, it gets big, and you make a sequel? But like they're straight up saying this is a Ryan Gosling, James Bond-esque franchise that we are starting.
I mean, I think if you want to take the swing, like I think that the number in one of the articles I was looking at for this today was the average American sees 4 movies in the theater. And I think if you're really trying to take a swing, hey, we've got Gray Man, the new Bond franchise. So, if you can actually take a little bit out of that pie and people go, hey, you know what? Why would I bother going to see this when I can see Gray Man 3 on Netflix? I'm very excited. And I'll rewatch 1 and 2.
But also slow your roll. Take it one movie at a time. Did the Dark Universe teach you nothing?
Well, but it's also a big shift, because previously what they were selling a lot of these on were, hey, we've got The Office, we've got if you like your 2.5 Men, we've got those. If you like your Law and Order, we've got those. But also we have spent all of this money on the Russos. We have spent all of this money on Benioff and Weiss. We have spent all of this money on Lord and Miller. Like that, those were the things that they were kind of betting on as far as original programming goes. And so I guess if now you've decided, and I don't necessarily think that it's a worse idea to say, instead of dunking everything into assuming that creators are going to hit a home run every time, we just put a lot of money into, you like this dude? You like that dude? You like explosions?
They're doing one big thing.
Tight. So we have got here, a simple name 80 says Ryan Murphy's next project is with Ewan McGregor, so that's kind of exciting. Langley and Neely, hey Langley, the Russo brothers don't get enough credit. I think look at where they were on Community, etc. versus now. It is crazy. 1/4 Canadian says stop making universes before the movie is even made. A sigh. Devil Kazuya 27. I predict that Netflix will start having commercials in their shows soon. Ooh, what do we think about that? Do we think that that's a possibility with all the money that's being spent?
No way. I mean, unless they do a free tier of Netflix, but I don't see that. That'd be insane. That'd be Flickster all over again. Remember Flickster?
Oh yeah, I do remember Flickster.
When they did,
I think that's the one thing they could do that would just make everyone click unsubscribe.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go ahead and head out and move on to the rest of our days, Spencer, what's one thing that Netflix could do that would make you click unsubscribe, aside from ads?
That would make you click unsubscribe? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's not Netflix. It's everything else. Like, I think that people don't realize how much of our streaming income is based on our life outside of streaming. It's not like a vacuum where I'm just evaluating Netflix versus Hulu versus Amazon Prime. It's like, can I afford this?
Yeah.
So, something catastrophic to my livelihood would make me click unsubscribe. But as long as it stays, it's like $7, $9 or whatever. Frankly, it's free if you work at Fandom. It's something bad would have to happen. I wouldn't cancel Netflix unless they did something real sketch.
I am still paying for Netflix. Didn't know it was free for Fandom. Joe Starr.
I'll send you the login.
Joe Starr, what could Netflix do to make you quit them forever?
Netflix probably nothing, but I tell you what, man, they better stick this landing on Perry Mason over at HBO Max.
Good to know. For me, one time the black station in my hometown suddenly stopped and only played Beastie Boys for a month, and I like Beastie Boys, but no one wants to hear it 24/7 for 30 days. Okay, if that's what Netflix did, I would quit. Bye.